Tyson, it's Randy Peterson.
Hey, Randy, how are you doing?
Good. I'm doing well. Thank you. Hope you're doing well too.
I am.
What can your starting linebackers do for an encore after having such a great season last year?
Well, we feel like we've got a lot of room to grow and improve to this point still. I think each guy is a little different, in my opinion, and really our opinion collectively as a staff. Each individual guy has different things to work on. I think they all bring their own qualities and characteristics to the game, but we've got a ways to go yet.
What's like Mike Rose have to work on?
Well, for us, there's a few things that, from start to finish of a play, we feel like are really important. And for us, we feel like we need to master those things every step of the way rather than just the majority of the time, for lack of a better term. So there's several things that way. We feel like he's got a lot of room to grow in the pass rush game. And that's been a point of emphasis for us here as we move into spring.
Hey, Coach, this is Michael Swain from 24/7 Sports.
Hey, how are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Sure thing. And you've obviously been in coaching for a long time, and last season was unprecedented. I'm just curious what last season was like and maybe how that helped you develop as a linebackers coach and just a coach in general.
Well, I think in ways we're still trying to figure out what last year was like. We're hoping to move away from that feeling a little bit in a lot of ways. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm speaking to there, but there were a lot of challenges outside of the game of football a year ago. As coaches, certainly we feel like there are a lot of challenges simply within the game from week to week and day to day. So we felt as if our guys did a tremendous job, not just on the field, but certainly off the field collectively, and we were pleased with that. So to be honest, we're super excited with the continuity, obviously, not only of our linebacking core, but of our entire defense. There's a lot of experience coming back, which is super exciting. However, we feel like, and I stated earlier, there's a lot of room to grow for a lot of veteran experienced guys. So I think as a whole, we played really good football, especially down the stretch. We certainly all feel like we left a lot of things out there too. So those are the things we're working on as we advance through the springtime.
Hey, Coach, Bill with the Cyclone Report here on Rivals. How are you this morning or afternoon?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm great. Hey, couple different questions here. First, Eric Horn, Gary Vaughn got some playing time last year beyond the top three. Get into those two guys this spring. And then after that, also maybe some of the redshirt freshmen, some guys that, you maybe took a look at on the scout team last year. What have you seen out of them so far?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question, Bill. I think at times, personally, I always hesitate to throw names out, obviously. And we've had some guys that have played great football for us here. And I know there's always certain names that we ask about. Our guys that, our goal is, Bill, to play as many guys as we can through the course of every game. There have been years here in the last 5 that we've had at times more depth to play with than others, and we feel like this would be one of those years, certainly. A year ago, and you mentioned Eric Horn, Gary Vaughn, those would have been really 4 and 5 as far as the amount of reps outside of our starting 3 that helped us on the defensive side. We had a number of guys also help us on the special teams end of things. And even, for instance, Jake Hummel, he didn't miss a rep on kickoff for us, and he didn't miss a rep on punt for us. So we are asking those guys to do a lot of things for us. I feel like this is a long answer to a short question. The sixth guy that played in games for us was Deshaun Davis. So we'd like to be at 6. There have been times where we've been at 7, and we feel like we're really good when we can do that. That helps us late in games, and it helps us late in the season. In our opinion, the more guys we have to play, the better. Naturally, as you all know, a guy that's a year older is typically better because he's been in game experiences before. So we're going to continue to work with all of our guys, but however, those guys that are competing for starting positions and competing to play more, maybe as 2s coming off of last year's depth chart, are as important to us as anybody in our program.
And then the kids coming off of red shirts, did anybody in particular there, or just like in the whole?
Well, and some of those guys played on special teams for us a year ago, and I know that goes at times unnoticed to many people, but a few of those guys helped us on special teams as well. We're really excited for those, as you mentioned, Bill. Red shirt guys, for lack of a better term, are gaining really what they lost on the development end off the field, in the weight room, in the conditioning phase, in the agility phase. All of those things are super important for those guys because summer got started late, as you know, and clearly we're excited for those guys to go through a true spring into the fall, into the summer.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Tyson, Travis Hines here.
Hey, Travis, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm just curious to get your thoughts on you mentioned Jake Hummel a little bit ago. What you've seen from him as a trajectory going from a special teamer as a true freshman to having an all-conference season last year?
Sure. Well, I think, Jake, he might be and I'll have to check with Mike Green on this specifically. I don't want to misspeak, but Jake would be probably the single guy on our team that would have played in the most games at all positions potentially. So he's got a ton of game experience. Like you stated, he's played on special teams since his true freshman year. Jake is a great leader for us. He has played his best football with each game coming. So we felt like Jake was at his best in the Fiesta Bowl. That's really encouraging for us. I'll say this, we had a practice on Monday, and it was Jake Hummel's best practice as we go back and watch. So to me, what is really great with our group collectively, but with a guy like Jake Hummel, he's trying to be the Big 12 Player of the Year, in my opinion. That's how he's working. And I think we all notice that here on campus every day.
Under normal circumstances, I mean, last year would have been, his swan song, going out on top, playing his best football, but obviously gets another year that normally wouldn't have come his way. What's that dynamic like? I know he's not the only guy in that situation, but to basically get a bonus year of college football to continue to hone their craft.
Sure. Well, Jake loves football, or he wouldn't be coming back, and probably obviously wouldn't play at a high level at times either, right? So I think when you have and obviously this is all unprecedented for everybody, right? Guys that get an extra year that didn't have one, so to speak. So it's a new thing for everybody, not only the players, the coaches, the guys behind those guys, all those things. So you're working different dynamics through that. Jake is well respected within our program. And he works to bring along the guys that are younger than him on a daily basis, on the practice field, on the sideline, in the meeting room. So, for us, meaning the guys that might be behind Jake, there's a high value for those guys having Jake back as well. So Jake brings a lot of things to us as a football program and as a defense.
This is maybe a better question for Matt, but you're here, so I'll ask you.
Okay.
When you guys where you were roster wise in 2017, if Jake were a freshman this year, would he get the same opportunities, or are you guys' rosters in totally different places 2017 versus 2021 in terms of his development?
Sure. To answer the question, is our roster in a different place today than it was in 2017? Drastically. For sure. Would a guy like Jake Hummel play on special teams like he did as a true freshman? Absolutely, he would. And we'll have, our hope is, Travis, we bring another guy in just like that this fall. You never know who those guys are, but we're always eager to play guys really on special teams, one, to get them started if we feel like they have the ability to do that. So again, it's been really hard to take Jake Hummel off the field in special teams altogether. Special teams are difficult, mentally, physically demanding, and you have to have the durability to hold up on those teams, as well as play at a high level on the respective side of the ball that you may be on. So I would say yes to that, as far as a guy like Jake coming in like he did and playing as a true freshman on special teams, mainly, for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tyson, it's Randy again.
Hey, Randy.
What's been your greatest satisfaction between making Joel Lanning a very good linebacker, transitioning him from quarterback to linebacker, and mentoring Mike Rose into becoming an All-American?
Joel Lanning certainly did and still does love football. And if guys love football and love to compete, as we all, I'm sure, know, they're a lot of fun to coach. They're as great of a senior season as Joel Lanning had, and there aren't many Joel Lannings, because all the other things Joel Lanning brought to our program. So I certainly don't want to compare a guy like Joel Lanning to Mike Rose, or Mike Rose to Joel Lanning. Mike Rose has done a lot for our football program, and Mike Rose has a lot to accomplish yet, in my opinion, and is working every day on things that will make him a better football player for us at his position, and a better leader for us on our defensive side of the ball. Certainly. So I think one of the greatest things with, the honor that Mike had of being the Big 12 Player of the Year is he still has a lot more to accomplish. However, the guys that were most excited for him with that award were Orion Vance and Jake Hummel and all those guys that play with him. They were as excited for Mike as he was. So, however, I think, and I would think, as you would ask Mike, geez, is this the finality? Is this the end of it? You were Big 12 Player of the Year. He would not agree with that either. He would believe there's more for him and us, especially as a defense, to accomplish beyond postseason awards or preseason awards.
One more for me, Tyson. Just your comments on Dave Andrews, what he's brought to maybe the team, but maybe your position in particular.
Well, I would think, number one, a great sense of communication and unity from what are really two separate staffs. You have a strength staff and you have a coaching staff. So, which clearly are working on different things collectively, however. So I think there's been a great sense of unity with the strength staff and the coaching staff, and with the coaching staff and the strength staff. There's a great deal of communication there, and that has helped us tremendously along the way. So, and we've put a lot of, with that communication, implementing great schedules and practice layouts and what we're doing with the guys on the field is meshing up with what we're doing with them in the weight room and through the strength program. So, and I think we have all learned a lot together, which has been a lot of fun for all of us.
Thanks, Tyson.
You're welcome.
Hey, Coach. Ben Visser from the Cedar Rapids Gazette here. You
Hey,
mentioned
Ben, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
You mentioned Mike Rose and his pass rush ability earlier, and that kind of got me thinking about Orion Vance. 2 years ago, he led the team in sacks. Last year, I think he just had 1 sack. What would you attribute that drop off to? Is that kind of like, well, Will McDonald burst on the scene, so you didn't need to send that extra linebacker? What would you attribute that drop in sack production? Because he's still obviously a productive player for you guys.
Absolutely. Orion is a really good player for us. So, well, I think every game is different. Every season is different. And along the way, as you would view, we have, for the most part, played the same defense schematically the last few years. We have done some different things within it. So, and I think, Ben, as you would know, throughout the last 3 seasons and heading into 4 here, we have played a different combination of guys at linebacker. So complementing one another there is really important for us, as well as complementing the other guys on the defense. So I think that is a little bit of it. And I think, again, there's, the teams we are playing have different guys, so to speak, too. We play a lot of mobile quarterbacks, and we play a lot of guys that like to scramble around and don't necessarily like to cross the line of scrimmage as they're scrambling around. So I think those are some other parts of it as well. But Orion has been a good pass rusher for us. He is making an emphasis to work on those things as well here through the offseason as we are collectively as a group. So, it's no secret within what we're doing. The first guys to add in with the defensive line are the linebackers as far as a rush move would go. So it's important for all of us.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Coach. Sam Stubbe, Iowa State Daily.
Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
Good, doing well.
Just to kind of follow up on that, what's the next step that Orion Vance needs to take to improve on from his last season?
Sure. Well, that's a question. I think each guy, like I mentioned at the beginning, is certainly different in needs. And we play 3 linebackers simultaneously, and they're all 3 really, and we ask them to do different things. So I think it's streamlined to each guy a little bit based on is the guy a middle linebacker? Is he an outside linebacker? Is he to the field predominantly or the boundary? So we try to work on those things separately as we are developing each guy naturally. But again, what the biggest thing that we want is Orion Vance to have a better year than he did a year ago and have the very best senior year that he can have. And that's really our goal. And we're going to work on that from now until the end of the season. And hopefully we can accomplish that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Looks like that's all we got. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great day.